Hello and welcome to the Papare.com's roundup of Sri Lanka's Asian Five Nations performance with that absolute thriller at the racecourse grounds. That's when Sri Lanka's Asian Five Nations Championship ended, and unfortunately it ended with 4 defeats. It was almost a win. It was almost a fantastic win for Sri Lanka at the racecourse grounds, but unfortunately the referee allowing a second kick to the Philippines fullback allowed them to convert and win against Sri Lanka by 26 points to 25. Let's look at that game first. Sri Lanka started off very well. They had Joseph Dunn, who was playing in the wing position, the Fijian player who was making his debut for Sri Lanka. It was also going to be Nama Rajapaksa, the captain's last match. He's announced that he was retiring from 15-a-side rugby at the end of this tournament, and greatly for him, he was able to cap that performance off with a try. I'm sure he would have loved to have capped the performance off with a win as well, but unfortunately it was not to be. Why was it not to be? Because Sri Lanka panicked a little bit, I think, and there was one moment in the first half. A lot of people are blaming the kick, but I think we'd lost the game before that, because there was one moment in the first half when Sri Lanka wonderfully defended a maul, and it was a moment of madness by one of the players who actually stole the ball off the Philippines player in that maul, threw it back into the in-goal area. Fazil Marija was under tremendous pressure, tried to get the kick away, knocked the ball on, and the Philippines player just touched down for a very, very easy try. And I think that just before halftime was where the back was broken for the Sri Lankan team. It was a very unfortunate try to give away, and that was what Sri Lanka will rue, because they gave away some pretty soft tries, and that is something that won't impress the coaching staff that much at all. But what we noticed was that Joseph Dunn, when he did touch the ball, he was dangerous. He set up one try for Nama Rajapaksa. He almost set up another, but we weren't able to get him into the game enough, and that was something that we need to be able to do at more regular intervals. Actually, questions need to be asked. Is he playing in the most dangerous position for him on the wing? Might we bring him in as a first receiver? Might we bring him in as a second receiver more often? That was probably what should have happened at that game. But Philippines unfortunately coming through and winning by 26 points to 25. Sri Lanka leading up till the last minute by 25 points to 19. A few kicks going astray as well, and that was something that we were left crying over spilt milk about. And 26 points to 25, a great win by the Philippines team, who have no love lost against us. They beat us when we went to Philippines as well, and they know what a good side we are. So it was very important for us to get this home win, but unfortunately on the day it was not to be. A few errors crept into the Sri Lanka game, and that was where things were lost. Just a little bit of composure. It was not even the effort, it was just the fact that they could not maintain composure through that 80 minutes, and there were some inexperienced players who let the side down. It must be said that the Sri Lanka third row absolutely played fantastically. I've probably never seen a performance as good by an entire third row unit. Bilal Hassan was brilliant with ball in hand and at the back of the scrum. Danushka Pereira in his cover defense was absolutely outstanding, and in the first line of defense I thought Yoshita Rajapaksa had probably the best game that I have seen him have in a Sri Lankan jersey, a Navy jersey, or any jersey that he's worn. I think this was probably the best game that he had. He was outstanding in defense. Didn't carry the ball much, but that's not what he's in the side for. He's in the side to make tackles, and he made some outstanding tackles and was really involved in the hard-hitting, close-quarter stuff, and that was wonderful to see. Nama Rajapaksa also had a pretty good game in his final game in a Sri Lanka jersey, and he will be very disappointed that Sri Lanka the team weren't able to give him a win, but I'm sure he knows that this is just the way the luck of the draw goes. But looking at the rest of the championship, Sri Lanka lost their game against Japan pretty convincingly. Of course, that was expected, 132 points to 10, and then of course the other away game against Korea, 59 points to 3. They would have been disappointed not to score a try in that game, but that's something that we can't help, especially in those conditions. It was the first match the Sri Lanka team was playing together after a long time, so lots of factors contributed to that. But in the home game against Hong Kong as well, I thought Sri Lanka did pretty well. 41 points to 10 is not a disgraceful score. Danushka Ranjan coming in and scoring a fantastic try at the end of that game, and he scored a brilliant try in the game against the Philippines as well, thanks to an outstanding Fazil Marija hit. He dislodged the ball from the Philippines player, and Danushka Ranjan picked it up and ran 60 meters on the angle to score an outstanding try. So it really was a good tournament for him, but Sri Lanka unable to capitalize on his speed because we weren't able to get the ball out wide as much as we would have liked. But again, it comes up to the physical factor in this Asian Five Nations tournament. It's difficult for us to match up physically man for man against sides that are much bigger. You've got expatriate players playing for Hong Kong, Japan. You've got them playing for Philippines as well, all these players living and playing their rugby outside of the country, and that's something that makes a huge difference, especially when they're playing at that pressure, when they're getting the nutrition, the strength and conditioning from really high level professionals, is something that Sri Lanka need to do all year round if they're going to compete at this level. But the silver lining is that even though we finished fifth, we were trying to finish fourth, but even though we finished fifth, it doesn't make too much of a difference, because the bottom two in this group will go down anyway, because the Asian Rugby Football Union has changed the format of the Asian Five Nations. It's not going to be the Asian Five Nations anymore. It's going to be the top three, and then there's going to be a bottom three as well, in which Sri Lanka find themselves together with the side that will win in the top division of the Asian Five Nations. We played in the Premier Division, and now they will play against sides who will come up from the top division, and the winner of this bottom three, or the second tier of three, will have a chance to play the last place team in among the top three, that is Japan, Korea and Hong Kong. Will have a chance to play against the bottom of those teams to try and get into the top three for the next year. So it means that we'll play less matches, but we'll play much more competitive matches, which is something to look forward to. So all in all, I thought it was a very good performance by Sri Lanka in the Asian Five Nations. A lot of errors that that could have been fixed still need to be fixed, and I think the line out and the scrum is something that we need to do extra work on, especially because the physicality is something that we lack. And even in the Hong Kong game, the second half performance where we almost outscored Hong Kong, it was just 12 points to 10 in that second half. When we got the changes made and we got the correct personnel on the field, it looked like it was going to be a very interesting contest. But that's something that we need to do on a more consistent basis, not just for half an hour or 20 minutes in a game. We need to be able to do that for the full 80 minutes of the game. And I think after the disastrous lineouts that we had in the Hong Kong game, it was really fixed well before the Philippines game came along, and Sri Lanka were outstanding in the line out there, but still needed a little bit more work in the scrums, and that's an area where we are lacking. We're lacking in good propping quality. We're lacking in good second row quality. Guys like Sharo Fernando get alongside the field really well, and he plays almost like a fourth, third rower. But the fact is, it's difficult when you're playing in the second row, because you've got to jump, you've got to push, and you've got to put in that work rate at the breakdowns as well. So it was really an outstanding performance, I thought, from Sharo Fernando as well, who had a very good Asian Five Nations tournament. Few issues also with regard to the halfback combinations. Do we play Srinath Surya Bandar? It's an outstanding seventh player. Do we bring in Roshan Weeraratne? I personally feel Surya should probably move to the outside half position, and he's got great vision and he can see everything that's happening around him and put the ball in the hands really quickly. Probably even better distributor than Fazil Marija is, and maybe Fazil will move a little bit outside him to number 12, because he's got outstanding defensive capabilities and really good stepping skills as well, and he's better carrying the ball forward physically than Suri is. So I think there might be a case to be made for Weeraratne coming into the number 9 position, and then having Suri at number 10 and Fazil Marija at number 12. Let's see whether the selectors try that going forward. So it was a decent performance in the Asian Five Nations. Congratulations to the team for putting up two very plucky performances in the home games that they played. No luck yet, but unfortunately that's something that we are going to have to work towards to be able to compete among Asia's best. I don't think you can play a 15-a-side season and then practice for a couple of weeks and then be able to compete. It's something that we've got to do year round, and I'm sure that everybody in charge realizes that we need to be able to compete as a national team and stay together as long as we can in order to be competitive at that level. So hopefully that's something that will change in the upcoming year, especially because we don't have to play the likes of Korea and Japan. That should make life a lot easier for us as far as preparation is concerned. So that's a roundup of the Asian Five Nations. It was a good performance by Sri Lanka, there and thereabouts, but not quite over the line. But I'm sure we'll see a lot of that happening in the next couple of years when Sri Lanka plays Asian Five, well, not Asian Five Nations, but Asian rugby. So congratulations once again to the team. Congratulations to Nauman Rajapaksa, who gives up what has been a pretty sterling career for him, and maybe we'll see him back, who knows. Sharing the passion here on www.thepaparade.com.